My name is Samuel Martin, and I will be doing my final project on comparing and contrasting criminology theories, social disorganization, and differential association theories. These theories are both very important to the criminology world and its beginnings. They both stem from the Chicago School of Criminology and Social Sciences, and this the differential association theory is close to myself as I conducted my own studies while working on my undergraduate degree um, to test the theories in differential association. To introduce the two following topics, um, what first should be known is the social disorganization theory. This is the basic theory that people uh, learn crime or become criminal through where they grow up, through their setting. This was very much supported by the centric zones theory, where um, studies showed that as um, people got farther away from the center of the city, the less crime that they committed in their lifetime. This was created by um, Edwin Sutherland. And the next theory to discuss is the differential association theory. This theory is the theory that people learn crime and are taught crime through their associations with other people. This theory is actually the one created by Edwin Sutherland. The other theory, excuse my first answer, is by McShay and Shaw. They were both created in the earliest 20th centuries during the Chicago School of Crime, and um, today they've been much overlooked as early beginning theories in the criminology world and are not as taken as seriously as they were in the past. Speaking on the previous note, the description of the problem. This is both theories have struggles with validation because of its age. As this theory has gotten older, the less and less studies have been done to back the ideas of their authors and their usage in today's criminal world. The following the following uses of this study have declined in the criminal justice world. Um, Newer approaches to crime have come and gone, and the more and more that come around and are used, the less these other twos are seen in the usage of police departments and other forms of the criminal justice system. And finally, the lack of studies have caused for this decline, and because of this, um, the usage is not seen as valid or as a strong contribution to the academic world. One of the best seen um, pieces of literature that supports these two theories is the differential association and compulsive crimes, delinquency crime, and differential associations. This was authored Cressy's during the 1960s, and it was one of the first articles to help support Sutherland's theory of differential association. What he decided to do was to go into prisons, into Indiana, and study and do background checks on all the, at the time, men and some women that were found in the prisons. This was done as really the first groundbreaking support to the Edwin Sutherland's theory of crime. The next important piece of literature that was used in this research is the Community Structure and Crime, Testing Social Disorganization Theory. This was done by Robert Sampson in 1989. What's important to note about this theory and then its timing is that it comes in the height of the zero tolerance for crime approach in the U.S.'s history. So drug dealers, uh, people involved with gangs and those types of crimes, there's really an approach in our criminal justice system to just lock them up and throw away the key. So that being said, it really backed up the ideas of we need to clean up our streets, we need to clean up our cities, we need to clean up our neighborhoods, and it backed a lot of the sentiments of the time. This research, just like the previous one, was a strong supporter of McCall and Shaw's original theory and helped validate the ideas that they had. Moving forward, it is important to note and study both methodologies of both approaches. For the differential association theory, as previously mentioned, it was a prison study in Indiana that studied several hundred of the inmates and surveyed them using detailed, in-depth surveys about their previous lives, where they grew up, what they did, where they went to school, their friends, parents, back history, you name it, it went into depth with them. And this methodology helped to strengthen the theory and even backed it up to the point where it was considered strongly for more than just basics a theory. On the social disorganization side of things, it began with a study of neighborhoods of local neighborhoods of the author. This was done in a similar way to the centric zone theory, where it looked at the neighborhoods, the rich, the weak parts, the areas in need of help, and it formed a basis over a longitudinal time period of about 10 to 15 years, where it looked at all the crime in that area and helped support McCaw and Shay's theory as well. And it used over 6 different cities. The next slide is the analysis portion of this research. Both studies show evidence to support their respective theories. In a nutshell, really both sides and both studies showed a correlation to the theories that either the poorly taken care of rundown neighborhoods had a connection to crime, or people with criminal behaves or come from a criminal background also have a strong correlation to commit crime. One difference, though, was the social disorganization had a stronger correlation in its study than the differential association theory. A real reason for this can be that there goes so much into a person's background and who they hang out with that there's a lot more variables that go into this than just where they live. There's still strong support for its continued use in the criminal justice field. This data and these results from the research still suggest that they can be used to better the community, to help solve crime, and to help figure out how to deal with criminals, their backgrounds, and how not to be reactive, but rather proactive when it comes to crime within a community. Moving forward, there needs to have a discussion on this research and the results of both the studies. Both, is obvious, show a link to crime. That being said, it can be used and should not be dismissed or should not be validated when it speaks about crime and the impact that these studies have had on the criminal justice field. The lack of usage in today's criminal justice field comes from age, not validation. As I just mentioned, there is some validity to behind the theory and what has been used. It's just so many other theories have come and replaced it and built upon it that the core fundamentals about criminology and these theories have been forgotten and washed away. There is still for the ideas in today's world, with the psychology world so strongly building its behavioral sciences and looking into youth and how predictive criminal lifestyles can be. It's very important that these theories are taken seriously and implemented into schools and other places in neighborhoods to help prevent crime instead of reacting to it. Next comes the policy and practice recommendations. No study is a good study without the aspect of change or making change, so this is what this presentation includes. A more focused approach on child intervention is needed. as I previously mentioned, it's about prevention and not reaction anymore in the criminal justice world. And both of these theories provide a way in which crimes can be prevented by keeping kids in the right groups, by keeping them out of gangs and away out of out of homes that have criminal tendencies, and cleaning up the neighborhood, taking pride in how a neighborhood works, are all big steps that can be taken. The upkeep of inner city neighborhoods are just as important. Um, Cleaning up the buildings, not having vacant buildings so that drug dealers can take over and crime may occur. This brings in the idea of broken window theories, which is for another day. But it all begins with the how a neighborhood is taken care of and the pride that the people put into it, because if people are moving in and out, there's no sense of community, and people are not going to take pride of the crime that goes on in their community. And what's really cool about both of these theories is that they can combine both. If you start with making a community a better place, making it look better, making the neighbors whole, then they can work together to find ways to have kids in more productive athletics, sports, after school programs, music, schools, tutors, so that they're not hanging out with the drug dealers or the gangs, but they're rather hanging out with their basketball, football, or baseball team, and they're learning important values that sports can teach kids. Finally, our conclusion to this presentation. Both theories have been proven to have some truth to them. It is validated through research and data that both have somewhat of a correlation to crime. One is stronger than the other, but they are reasons that people commit criminal acts or become criminal. The age of both have caused them to be cast away. Just as many theories throughout time have been outdated and and diluted in time, these two are no exception to it. Using them together with policy and reform can be a strong and efficient way to solve a community's crime problem. When theories are pushed together and used together, the results have been very strong and positive for communities, and these two theories are no exception. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Here's my references. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I hope there is a more serious approach to these theories and that a difference can be made in a community near you.